Hi everyone, I'm Mrs. Freilich. Today we're going to do a very fun art activity using lines, shapes, colors, foreground, background, and a special technique called shading. So, without further ado, let's get started. First of all, we need to gather all the materials that we'll need for the project. To make a pumpkin patch drawing, all you need is a white, unlined piece of paper, a good pencil, a good eraser, and then maybe some colors that you can use for later on. So what I'd like you to do first is decide where are your pumpkins going to live in this patch. You want to try overlaying some and then having foreground as well as background. But you also need a focal point, and it usually lies in the rule of thirds. If you were to cut this in thirds and this in thirds, you would want it either here in the corners of intersection right there. So we're going to have the main pumpkin live right about here. So we're going to just draw a little line. Pumpkins don't have to be perfect because in reality, they're not all round and perfect. They might have little wiggles or imperfections, but that's how pumpkins are, okay? And then you're going to draw a little stem, and stems also are not perfect. Now that is your main focal point, and that is where you want the attention to go toward. Now you may have some in the foreground. Let's say you're really close to this pumpkin, and this is the side of him. And then it goes off the page. And then you may want a few in the background. Let's say there's little pumpkins here, and you draw them smaller so that they look like they are far away. And then draw little stems there. Some may be on their side, so you may draw it like this. And you could just be as bumpy as ever. And then some don't have sticks, okay? And then what you want to do for shading is decide where is the light coming from. Is it coming from up here? Is it coming over here? Is it head on? Where is the light? So let's say the light is coming towards this pumpkin as if it were highlighting it. So the front is going to be mostly lighter. But the pumpkin crevices will always be darker because they will have little shadows. So you can deepen all the little crevices of all the pumpkins as you go along. Okay? And this one's a big one because he's up front. Okay, and usually when you sketch, you want to use light pressure. That way, if you make a mistake, you can easily erase. So I'm going to switch over to orange because we're going to have an orange pumpkin. So you can even use the colored pencils to add to the shading. So you're going to be really pressing hard in the crevices. And then as you come away from the crevices, you're going to want to lighten up on your touch. So if the light is coming from straight on, this first little segment of the pumpkin is going to be pretty light. And you can gradually lighten it as you come to a point. Now here, it's probably going to be a little darker here maybe. And especially near the bottom. Okay, and then it's going to follow the contour of the pumpkin little segment there. And on the outskirts, it kind of has this darker rim and in the crevice, and then you gradually get lighter as you come away from that crevice. Okay, now these two segments back here are further away from the light. So therefore, they will be darker, but they still will have a little bit of highlight right up on top to show that that light is still coming through, like so. Now you could even add more to it because sometimes pumpkins aren't just orange. Maybe they have a brown tinge, and this little brown could actually enhance your shading and create more shadows for you. And then it will make it a little darker and more pronounced. And you kind of want your pumpkin to kind of stand out a little bit because this guy is the main event for this picture. So you really want to do a nice job on him. And then remember, the light is coming from above and yet head on to this pumpkin. Right, like so. Okay, now the stem is oftentimes brown, and it does have some yellow mixed with it. Okay, and then it looks kind of striped. So you can take a little bit of yellow and blend that in to give it more depth. Okay, all right. Now that is the trick to shading. So you do the same for these pumpkins in the background. Once again, the light is still head on, so further away is going to be lighter, right? And the crevices will remain dark, as well as the outline in general. The outline in general is going to be a little bit darker. Okay, and then since these are further back, actually, you are going to make them a little bit darker because that way they don't draw attention and take away from our main focal point. So we're going to draw this and color it in a little bit just to kind of give the idea of color. And then if you circle it like this and gradually get lighter, it actually creates more depth because you're shading your pumpkin and it makes it pop. Now here, this kind of looks awkward, right, at first, but we will make it come to life. We are going to use brown to show the crevice. And we're going to gradually get lighter as we come up. And then this will be darker to show the outer part of the pumpkin. And as you come in, you're getting lighter and lighter, like so. Okay. And then you're going to top it off with orange, because it is an orange pumpkin once again. And then once again, you can also follow the shading of what you had laid down before with a darker color. All right, and there you go. You've got a foreground, a main central point, and a background. Now, all you have to do is add the surrounding background environment. Let's say you've got the horizon here, okay? So you're going to see all this brown in here, and it's on dirt, and so you just kind of wiggle it around because it's not that important. You want the attention to be on your main focal point. And let's say you have a couple of fall leaves. You might draw leaves here, you know, that just happen to fall down, and you could just kind of sketch them just ever so sporadically, kind of jiggity, because not all leaves are in a perfect form, especially the ones that fell, right? And then you don't want them to be evenly spaced because then it looks like it's pre-planned, right? So you can just add things like that. Voila. So have fun doing the rest of your drawing. Thanks so much for joining me today and working so hard on your pumpkin patch. I hope you're pleased with the results. Have a great day.